What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to D+Pad Life, and today something amazing has happened. Something grand. Something that this collection desperately needs. I mean, if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that I display my beaten games in a cardboard box. Frankly, just because I haven't really taken the time to figure out a solution, and this just does the trick for now. But I recently scored something really great. Whoa! That boy is tall. Yeah, I got this insane shelving unit for free. Got it as a little bit of a donation here, and I've got to put the collection on here, man. I got to do some reorganizing. So here's how things are set up in this game room. I obviously have this shelf here. Now this shelf holds more than games. Obviously at the top, I've got my beaten games, beaten PS4, beaten PSVR, and beaten PS5. Under that is the PSVR collection as well as some PS3 games. And then mostly like gaming related media like DVDs of gaming like movies or documentaries, series, and then some wrestling DVDs. I do like pro wrestling. And then down there, I got like my humble VHS collection. And yeah, that's about it. And, you know, a few figures or whatever. And then you come around this way, and on this wall-mounted display, I have the games I'm currently playing. So PS4, PS5, well, not currently playing, sorry, backlog games, PS5, and then obviously the games well, not obviously if you're new here, but these are the games that I've beaten, but I want to replay. And then you come over down here, zoop, under the TV, I've got the games I'm currently playing. And so it is time to get all of that stuff onto here. I don't know how this is going to look. I don't know how it's going to feel. This bookshelf has depth. So I'll have to decide if I'm going to do like back to back, if I'm just going to have space at the front, if I'm just going to pull everything forward and have it flush. I really don't know yet. But I'm going to start messing around with it, and anytime something interesting comes about, I'm going to check back in with you guys on this video. I've already decided in this small gap at the top, so if you look at the top here, the game room has this interesting dip from the ceiling, and it fit pretty perfectly. So I went ahead and put the only player's guides I have, a Versus Books Resident Evil 3 player's guide from my childhood. It's super beat up. And then Dead Rising 1 and Dead Rising 2, I have guides for those because one day I'd like to do a perfect Survivors run. I've also got this really neat Super Mario Brothers Nintendo Trapped in the Perilous Pit book. You gotta love the red overalls, blue shirt, green overalls, blue shirt. Yeah. And then a vintage, I think it's like Burger King, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 toy. It's still in the bag. But yeah, so that's where we started. And now we gotta start filling this up. So stay tuned, and I'll check in just a second. Well, it's filling up pretty quick here. Honestly, I knew the shelf was pretty narrow, and I figured it could make getting things to fit pretty tricky, but I'll kind of give you a little quick rundown of what we're looking at. So my primary thought at first is to keep everything that's at like eye level to be the backlog, because that's what I'm primarily focused on, and that is a lot of what this channel is all about, right? It's really focused on backlog gaming. So I figured from the get-go, it might make the most sense to have the backlog at eye level. I actually think I might move these two shelves up to up a section. It's just kind of weird because then it's going to separate these from those. So this is the very top here is beaten PlayStation 4 games. Then you've got the rest of them. Little divider with this Nintendo World New York Cup. And then you got the beaten PlayStation VR games. I just threw the demo disc over here because it's like, sure, they're beaten, you know. And then you go into the backlog. And so I pretty much was able to fit all the backlog with the exception of Watch Dogs on one shelf for PS4. Then you got PS5, and then you got what I'm currently playing, which is quite a stack. And those are going to obviously need homes to go to once they get beaten. And so, yeah, I don't know. This can always be a work in progress. But for now, it's nice just to have all my games consolidated instead of them being all over the place. You know, you come further down, and then you got the backlog on the VR. Now, something I'm considering, I've spoken about this before, but with the VR collection, I just buy a lot of these games because they're so cheap. so that I can bulk up the VR collection. So if the day ever comes when I'm looking to sell my VR headset, I can try to move it all as a giant lot. And with so many games, it can be a much more, desirable purchase for who's ever on the other side of that. And so there's a lot of games in here that I actually have no interest in playing, or at the very least, like I'll boot them up and I don't feel like I need to stay committed to them. A good example of that would be Drive Club VR. Really little to no interest in that. Eagle Flight's supposed to be a pretty darn basic game. Don't know how much I'll really get into that. Battlezone's like a tank combat game, which could be cool, but it's primarily focused, I believe, on competitive multiplayer, which I don't really do. Valkyrie is similar. It's space combat, similar energy, I believe. I think I've heard Loading Human is kind of trash, but I found it for so cheap, and the wife thought it looked kind of interesting, so I got it. Core, I believe, is like an RTS style game, which is, kind of neat, but it's really just as if you're playing a real board game and you're like looking down at the board sort of deal. I don't see that being a game I really care to dig into. No Man's Sky is cool and all, but it's just not something I really plan to play. Again, it's just one of those games I got because I thought it would bulk up the set, and if I'm ever looking to flip it, that could help. I still got all of these games here to fit in. So the reason I'm mentioning all this, like Starblood Arena, VR Carts, Werewolves Within. These are just games I don't plan to play. So something I'm thinking about doing is there is enough depth on these shelves. Like there's a ton of space back here that I might actually put the VR games in the back that I actually don't have an intention to play. And that way we can really put the focus on and showcase the games I'm actually interested in. So that's probably the next move. And then you come one shelf down and you've gotten all the beaten PS5 games. So it kind of sucks to separate those from everything else that's beaten that's way up there. But for the sake of filming, it just seems to make sense. And then there's this giant gap at the bottom. I wish I just had one more shelf. I could put a shelf right there, and that would make a world of difference. But truth be told, I've got a cat, and he can be a little naughty when it comes to stuff on the bottom shelf. Sometimes he likes to mark his territory, let's say. It hasn't happened in a long time, but it's a possibility. So I don't think I necessarily want games down there. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to put down there yet. I might just roll the dice and take a risk at it. Right now I'm thinking maybe just like some low-end collectibles or something. Or, I don't know, something that can display in that space. But it's filling up pretty good. Come over here and look at that. That's all empty now. I do have a good amount of knickknacks. I've never really shown these before. I haven't deep dived into them at all, but this creates space for more knickknacks or to consolidate maybe this like overfill and work those up into there. So that could be an idea. Oh yeah, and I've also got all of this because there used to be a table in that corner and I just had a bunch of this stuff displayed on it. And so now these need a home. So they're going to go there. That's going to be kind of like a display case just for some of my little goodies. But yeah, man, so far, so good. It's coming together. I'll check back in just a second. Okay, so progress has been made. Considerable progress. I figured out the order. I'm still not sold on that bottom shelf. But let's go through it here. So from the very top, got the guides, got the Sonic toy. I went ahead and I put the beaten PS5 games at the top because those are like the least likely to be returned to in the relative future. So those kind of make sense up there. Then you go into backlog and look how perfect this is. For reference, the microphone of the camera is basically right at my mouth holding it here. And we're looking at more or less the full backlog, the primary backlog. You take a step back, and bam, that's everything. That is the backlog right there. And I think it looks great on camera. So PS5 backlog is on the second shelf here. Then you've got what I'm playing now, which obviously if you've been keeping up, things have been changing. Things have been moving around. Some games are coming, some games are going. I'm going to do an update on that in a short in the near future. Stay tuned for that. And then you go into PS4 backlog, which is now down here. And then VR backlog. Now, I did do what I said I was going to do. I picked out the games that I don't really own because it's like, oh, I'm eager to play that. I want to get that off the backlog. I own it because it's primarily for flipping purposes. Now, I know I mentioned No Man's Sky, but I'm definitely going to boot that up and check it out. That game the last time I played that game was when it was new and VR wasn't even an option. And so I'm definitely going to check that out. I really want to see what No Man's Sky is like these days. And then actually, I kind of read into Loading Human on the back, and it's actually a single player focused game. So that got me interested. So back there, you can kind of see him. Hold on. Yeah, you can kind of see him back there. Nice and blurry for you. Yeah, there's some PS VR games back there. You come to the next shelf, and what you've got here is the beaten PS4 games, and behind those are the PS3 games. That's just not a library. Like, I can't actually say for certain, but I think most of that is backlog, but I'm not focused on PS3 at this time. Most of my PS3 games I have digitally. I have a mod, so most of them are already on there. But you can only have such a large... You can't have too large of a hard drive when it comes to PS3, from my understanding anyway, at least with the mod I did. So I have a few physical games laying around to either play them off disc or to... If I play a digital game that I don't actually like, I can delete it and then rip that one onto it. Coming down here, though, is the continuation and the finish of the beaten PS4, as well as the beaten PS4 VR. And then it goes to that little cup, which something fun inside I'll just share. It's empty. Unfortunately, I don't have the figure, but it's the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Happy Meal figure. Oh, it's Happy Meal, it's McDonald's, not Burger King. Okay, that's the Knuckles one. And then just some plushes at the bottom. I have a few other plushes laying around in the game room that I could probably like pile in here to be kind of cute. But I don't have them right now. I agree. The shelf looks amazing. And then just assigned an autographed picture of Jey Uso. Got it before he became pretty cringe, but I've been a fan of Jey Uso and the Usos for a long time, so I think it's pretty cool. Just kind of putting that there. I haven't figured out a spot on the wall for it yet, so I try to lean it so it could be like a background, but the glass on the front is too heavy, so it kept falling forward. So now you might be wondering, well, Andrew, what did you do with the empty space that you freed up from all these games? Well, like I had mentioned, I had some stuff over there, had some stuff here. Here we are. I'm not 100% happy with it. It could probably use like a mass rearranging. But the thing about this cabinet is these shelves are not adjustable. They are stuck in place. And so this is the largest gap. So no matter what I do, Eddie Guerrero is going to go there. And as long as I'm keeping Axel and his packaging, which I'm not 100% sure I want to keep doing, I'm just doing it for now because I'm undecided. But as long as he's in the packaging, he'll have to fit there. And then Link just kind of rounds it out as far as being like a bit of a variety shelf. Same thing goes for this. Just kind of a variety shelf. Just some of my favorite things. I'll get into like knickknacks and stuff and why I have them all and what they mean to me and things of that nature in a separate video. But yeah, actually moving this I was able to transfer it from up here down to here, and I kept the exact same format, and I really like the format, and I actually made it a little better. So that actually feels really good. So, and then there's still a bunch of, now that it's down here, I can tell there's like so much empty space for anything flat, like pens or coins and things of that nature. So something to keep an eye out for. Yeah, so I moved the games we're currently playing to the active shelf, which is really great. So that clears up the slot over here, which I can now move my PlayStation 2 back to, so I can have the symmetry, the towers there, PS2, PS3. That could use a little bit of tidying. But yeah, so now all that's left is this shelf here. I think, honestly, I'm just going to move everything up and leave that bottom shelf empty so I don't have to worry about the cat maybe getting naughty, like I had said earlier. Sorry for the stains on the carpet. This is a really old carpet in this room. Eventually it'll get replaced. But right now I kind of love the Xbox green. But anyways, that's it, you guys. This is the new setup for the games. I love it. I love it. And I got this shelf for free, so that was pretty cool. It's totally going to work for now. There's not a lot of growing room on it unless I decide to start doing like some depth, like rows. But that's not necessarily what I want to do. I mean, maybe another option would be stacking the games vertically, but I don't really want to do that either. Like laying them horizontally and stacking them vertically like this. You might be able to fit more in there that way, but I hate that style. So I don't really want to do that right now. I think having these turned to the side just makes them easier to read for videos and makes them stand out as like, that's what I'm actively playing. So yeah, we definitely got to do a currently playing like update. I'll probably do a short for that. And now what I'm realizing is look at all this empty space on the side here. You know, I might actually be able to fit that guy on there. Maybe not, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. I might be able to get some art on here, maybe some stickers, maybe some decals or something, or I could just leave it clean. What I haven't decided is, and actually I think I might do this, I was thinking about putting this shelf there, and since I'm going to leave the bottom empty anyway, that heat vent can just blow right through the bottom of the shelf and shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, big upgrade to the game room today. Super, super happy about this. I think this is fantastic. And I love how it just fits in the corner and my shadow, there's a little filming stuff cast on the wall and not on the game. So it'll never get in the way when I'm trying to film. I still got pretty decent lighting. It is yellow lighting, but that's what I prefer. I don't like the bright day style bulbs. I prefer the yellow lighting. Makes me feel more warm, makes me feel more cozy, makes me feel more at home. So that being said, that's it for this video. Yeah, more content to come. Stay tuned. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.